questions, just look at
Okay.
me. Are you ready, Charles?
Yep.
All right, start with an easy one. Tell me your name and spell it.
Charles, C-H-A-R-L-E-S, Gene, G-E-N-E, Shaw, S-H-A-W,
What'd you play?
left guard.
What year were you in '56?
What year?
I mean, yeah, were you sophomore, junior,
I was
senior?
a junior.
Junior.
Yeah.
So, what was life like back in here in Frederick back in the mid-'50s?
Well, we went to school, we worked. Well, see, during the football season, what happened is that we went to Boyd High and they, instead of Frederick High. And during the time of year for football season, they was pulling cotton, so that was our source of living. So we would sometimes be out of school, while Frederick High School would be in school. And we'd be pulling cotton, so then when we came over here to play football, when we have a game here, we would work a half a day. And then we would come to practice and stuff like that, but if the game was away, we didn't work that day. So it was just, that was our source of living then. So it was, and then before we came over here to play football, we stayed on that side of the track and they stayed on this side. We didn't have no interactions before 1956 because only time we would interact over here was if we had to go to the grocery stores or cleaners or something like that. But we didn't ever come to Frederick High School. They had some players that come over that ran track, but once they ran track, that was it. They didn't come over anymore until they told us that we wasn't gonna have a football team anymore.
What'd your parents do?
Well, my parents ran a cafe with my sister and brother-in-law did. My mother passed away when I was 13, so my brother-in-law and sister raised me. And they ran a cafe. They had a place down there they called the Flats, where they had a bunch of, well, they call them nightclubs now, but they were just cafes and things where they sold beer and food and stuff. So they ran a cafe down there for 38 years. They ran a cafe down there. So then I would have to go down there and work, because then they had those big coolers where you put ice to keep the beer and the sodas and stuff cold. I would have to restock those and take out trash, wash dishes, everything. So, but that's what they did. And my brother-in-law, he worked at the compress where they pressing cotton and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand the schools. You touched on this a little bit, but your school year was different than Frederick's. So I mean, going working in the fields all day and then having to go to practice, was it? I mean, that had to be tough, especially
Well,
it gets hot here.
Yeah, but we would go work, like when we had our team over there at Boyd High, we would work all day, sometimes 6 o'clock, and we'd go out and practice. Now, we would get through practice at 10:30 at night, but we still had practice and we played, so that was something we wanted to do, so that's the way it was.
When did you find out that you guys would have to play at Frederick?
It was after our season ended, which was in December or somewhere like that. Then around May or June of the next year, '56, they told us that if we played football, that we would have to play at Frederick High because they had got some kind of letter from the Oklahoma Board of Education or something that Frederick couldn't support the 2 athletic programs, football programs. So, and they said if we wanted to play football, we had to play at Frederick. So it was a heartbreaker, but that's the way it was. So then we went and talked to our principal. Well, I talked to my sister and brother first because I wanted to play, and I knew I had to get their permission first. So I talked to them, and then I went and talked to the principal, and he told me that he wasn't going to tell me not to go, or he wasn't going to tell me to go. He said that was a decision that I had to make on my own, and but he did tell me one thing that stuck with me. He said, if you go over there to play football, you're going to play football. Go over there and act like a young man and play football. So that's what I did.
Because I know you had a couple players that transferred to other schools from Boyd. that didn't come to Frederick? Did you ever have any?
Well, I don't know of any. I know Logan said he could have went to Wichita to play, but he didn't go, so I don't know if some of them just flat out quit, they didn't play, so.
Do you think that was just pressure from their families or community, or it was just they were tired?
I really couldn't answer that because a lot of the players now, was on that team, said that they didn't want to go because they didn't think we were going to get to play. They think we were going to get to sit on the bench. But it wasn't that way. So the most valuable players that came from Boyd, it was that Boyd, came over here and played with Frederick. Because that 55 team we had at Boyd, most of the team was graduating anyway. So we're going to have to start from scratch just about anyway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Coach Wild. What do you think about him?
Great man. He's a great man. He knew how to treat his players, and he didn't have no preference of who you were. If you didn't do the job, you wasn't in there. And because he was fair. Because when the first day of practice, we went over there, he talked to us, and then he had us to form a circle, which called a pig pen, and he called your name, you get in that pig pen, and then he called somebody else's name, and they would crash on you. And everybody was in there. Black was hitting black, white was hitting white, and everything. And I figured that out, the reason why he did that, because there was a lot of tension. Because, if you're used to something a certain way for a long time, then when you take it away from you, you miss it. So by us coming over here to play football, we had lost a lot. And, when you first get into something, you're kind of apprehension about it. So they was on one side, we was huddled up on one side, but he mixed us all together and put us in that pen. And we practiced football. We didn't have no problem.
So, whether you come...
You like a glass of water?
No.
Whether you come from the fields or you come from school, did you guys... how did you get to Frederick? Did you walk? I don't know how close it was.
Well, have you been up by the... it's on First Street.
I haven't been by that.
Okay, it's a church up there on First Street where the Boyd High School used to be.
Okay.
And we had to walk from there. It's on First Street, and this is on 15th Street, so that's how far we had to walk. Yeah.
So you'd walk as a team?
Yeah. No, we just went there. Every time you got out of the field, you just come to practice over here. And then after, I don't know, 2 or 3 days of practicing and stuff like that, the guys would sometimes take us home. Most times we had to walk with some of the guys. We got close to some of the guys, and they would take us home. Because we didn't have cars over there then. We did. The kids didn't, parents did, but the kids didn't.
Indoor plumbing?
Yeah, we had that, yeah.
Right off the bat, were you guys in the locker room together?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Same locker room, same showers, everything. It wasn't nothing separated once we came over here to start playing ball. We all changed clothes in the same room, showered together and everything. So it wasn't nothing different, no.
What about going back to school at Boyd, like your girlfriends and things? How did they feel?
Well, not only the girlfriends, a lot of the people in the community was on both sides, white and black, was upset because the black on that side didn't want us to lose our team. And then some of the white, not all of them, some of the whites over here didn't want us to play over here. And it was both ways, so. But it wasn't nothing we could do about it because they said that we'd have to play football over there if we wanted to play. So that's what we did.
Your dad and the rest of your family, did they come to games?
My dad, I don't know. I've never seen my dad. My mother's divorced when I was a baby. And then my mother passed away in 1951. I was 13 years old. So my sister and brother, she didn't come, but he came because he was a sports nut. She ran the cafe, plus he would go to the games and stuff like that. Yeah.
How tough are practices?
Hmm. It was tough at first, but once you got your body in shape and everything, you just go through regular practice. Yeah, it was. Sometimes it was hard, sometimes it wasn't. Yeah. Because so before we started playing football over here, it was a few of us, Logan, a boy named Clansbury, Danny Miller. We used to run 4 miles getting ready for practice, you know, before the season even started. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were ready.
Yeah, we got ready, yeah, 'cause we just getting ahead of the bus, that's all.
Do you want to, Jeff, you feel like you had something to prove?
Not really. When you know you can do something, you don't have to prove to anybody. So we knew we could play, so the only thing we was worried about was getting a chance to.
Was there an arrogance among the team, not just black but white players too? Because I mean, you guys were just rolling teams.
No.
No.
Once we got the practicing before the season started, me and we gelled like Jello. I mean, then they would take us home. Sometimes they would come to the schoolhouse when school started back, pick us up and take us to practice. Because I remember one time there was a guy that came in our classroom, and we had a teacher named Alice J. Joyner. So he busted in the classroom. He's a white boy. I don't forget who it was, but he busted in the classroom and said, "I come to get the football players." And he got in trouble because she looked at him and she told him to get out of that classroom and said, "You don't bust in my class coming to get no football players." So she said, "All the football players get up and go out," but we knew not to get up. So then we didn't move, so she dismissed us. But she was a no-nonsense teacher. Yeah. And I think some of them found it out because she ended up teaching over here once they integrated to school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you guys, I mean, you played, you know, you went undefeated, but you lost a scrimmage game.
To Lawton.
Lawton.
They had a fullback over there, one of the, probably the best fullback in the state. His name was Ronnie Hartline. And I had a quarterback named Ryan Beaver. And they had a team, but they was in a different class than we were. But we scrimmaged against Lawton Wolverines and the Ardmore Demons, I think it was, yeah. And we lost the scrimmage games to Ardmore.
Did you guys,
Dr. Lawton.
did you have doubts then that maybe this wasn't working out?
No,
You just
because it was a high class, big class school that we was playing, yeah.
How tough was it when you played other schools? Like, you know, racially?
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad. We had two teams that kind of showed a little racial stuff, but other than that, it wasn't any. Granfield and Temple. So those were the only two that I remember that I could say that had racial motives. Yeah.
So I've said this before, but I went through the papers, the 56 newspapers, basically daily yesterday, and I mean, you'd really have to search for an article on that football team. Even when we won the state championship, it was on the back page. Like, I mean, did you guys at the time feel disrespected?
No, I didn't, because we was winning. So you can only win. You win or lose. So, but we was winning, so I didn't feel disrespected because they had us ranked #1 just about the whole football season. So I think we got our dues. But Frederick was a small town, so the paper didn't kind of keep up with stuff accurately. It just printed some of the most important things, but they wasn't that very accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it brought the community together?
Yeah. Because the first day of practice, when we practiced, it looked like the whole city of Frederick was out watching the first day of practice. Because I think what they wanted to do, they wanted to see what was going to happen on the first day. And then the second day, it kind of went away. But after the third day, they went on about their normal business. We had just a regular football practice. They found out that there wasn't going to be any problems or anything. I think that's what they were looking for the first day. but it wasn't any problem, so.
Both communities were
Yeah.
out the first practice?
Mhm.
As far as away games, a lot of people from the black communities come too?
Yeah, those that could afford to, yeah. Mhm.
They sit together on the?
No, we,
Or this is home and away, I mean, did,
well, away, I don't know about away, but I know here that they didn't sit together. They had to sit on the east side at the south end. And they were still, I don't think they started sitting together until 66, when the schools integrated. See, that's, because football season integrated in 56 and the schools integrated in 66, 10 years later. Yeah.
so let's talk about LC. Someone, can you describe him?
Oh, he's about 5'10". He wasn't as tall as I am. I'm 5'11", so he's about 5'10". Weighed about 170 pounds. And one of the meanest guys on the football team. I mean, you could say the wrong thing to him, and you had a fight. Not on anybody, teammates or anybody. He just had a high temper. But that whole family was like that. Yeah, they all got a temper. So you didn't mess with him hardly.
Can you tell me to keep it down?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, this mic picks up everything.
Yeah.
Don't want to ruin anything. Hold on a second.
Yeah, he got killed in Wichita Falls, Texas.
So the fighting the state championship, what was that like?
Do what?
The fight you guys got into?
Oh, that fight happened in the third quarter, and we were beating them so bad. Well, the score was 33-0, but they knew that they were gonna lose, and I think that fight started out of frustration. But they, just like I said before, they hit the wrong person. LC, that's who they hit, and when they hit him, well, he's gonna retaliate. And then the whole team got involved in it. And Coach Wild, he got involved in it because I think he threw more punches than anybody. Because he was standing up on top of the players trying to separate them, but he was swinging at the same time. See? Yeah.
So as a person, I mean, was he a yeller? Did he cuss? Did he?
Who?
Coach Wild.
No. They tried to compare this team to the picture. Remember the tight end? You see that picture?
Mhm.
There was nothing like that. There was no cursing each other on the team. He didn't curse none of the players. There was no fighting or nothing like that on the team. That was I wouldn't compare our team to that team for nothing. Because there wasn't no disagreement. You may have some little squabbles or disagreement, but all that stuff in that picture, nah, that didn't happen to us.
Mhm.
Because we had a coach that seen to it that we played together as a team, and that's what we did.
How tough was it to leave Coach Lee behind, since he couldn't come over here and coach?
Well, it was tough because he had been there for what, I don't know, 10, 11 years. So, and I, that's another one. I talked to him. I talked to my brother and sister first. I talked to the principal about playing football, and they all told me the same thing, and I talked to him. But he was at all our games before he went to Lawton, yeah. Because he was still in his last year of coaching at Frederick, so he went to all our games.
Can you say his name, just so we have it on camera?
W.M. Lee. I don't know what the W.M. stands for, but his name is, yeah, I do. William Lee, yeah.
And could you say in your own words again that Coach Lee came to your games after you left?
Yeah, he did. He came to all our games. When we won the championship in Oklahoma City, he was up there. Yeah, he came to all our games.
Would you guys still come to him for advice, even during the season? Like,
No, I did. Well, I didn't. I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't. Because I don't think that would have been a good thing to do under Coach Wild, and then you go into another coach, because, he didn't have a team anymore, so you disrespecting your coach now by doing that, going to another coach, so.
Tell me the story about the jacket, the Letterman's jacket, after one of the players, isn't that right? One of the
Yeah, well, see, I went through a divorce when I was in the Army. I went through a divorce, and my wife got rid of all my clothes and stuff. So I didn't have my jacket and everything, football and everything. So when I guess about 5, 6 years ago, Jerry Heidebaugh told me that he had a jacket and said he was going to bring it down and give it to me. And so he did. We had a parade one time. He came down and he gave me the jacket. And then during that time, we got the notice that they was going to induct that team into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. And they wanted some memorabilia. So I told Jerry I was going to donate that jacket. It's up there in the Hall of Fame now. I gave it to, what's this guy's name? I can't think of his name. But I gave it to him to put in the Hall of Fame. So I couldn't use it, so.
We got some great pictures of that jacket.
Yeah.
There.
It was a sweater supposed to be in there too, because I gave him Daryl Matthews. That's his wife and son sitting in there, Scott. Because when he passed away, I went by her house and asked her to give me something of his so I could keep to remember him by. And she gave me his sweater, and I gave it to her when we got to Oklahoma City, and I said, now, you give it to the man, and I'm going to let you donate it to the Hall of Fame. So that's what she did, yeah.
Oh, that's a great story. If you could describe the 56 Frederick team in one word, how would you describe it?
Great. Yeah.
What about Coach Wild? How would you describe him?
As a man that knew how to be fair, and a man that wanted to win.
Yeah. Charles, thank you so much for this. Really, is there anything else you'd like to say, or anything you'd like to add? You got it.
Well, the only thing I'd like to add is that playing football at Frederick High School, it gave me a chance to make some friends with people that we had no communication with each other. And then we ended up being friends for life so far. And I enjoy that, because I'm just as glad to see those guys when they come down. So, because when I first moved back here in '91, I said next year I'm going to get a reunion. So I got all the guys' address today, and we had our 50-year reunion here not too long ago. And I said, I'm going to get them together because I want to see them. Because it's 2 guys that came down this time I hadn't seen since '56. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we friends for life.
That's excellent. Thank you. Great stories.